It's going to be a while.
I'm afraid for my life. I want you to know that. I am afraid for my life. His family have never liked me. I'm the blue-eyed white devil, is what they call me. So they've never liked me. They've never taken me in. They've never accepted me. I'll put it that way.
The doctor will be able to give me some of what they think and see.
Yeah, we'll give them their number. They can contact them and get it from them.
So yeah, they're gonna know what we're here, what we're investigating, and that they're gonna think I killed him.
Why would they think that?
They always have said that. They've always have said that.
What have they
I
said?
told you it's because I'm the blue-eyed white dragon. That's what they call me. Because they don't want him with me. So he's basically just not really been around his family because he chooses me over them.
Classic narcissist. What a sick lady. My lovely peaches. So I am going to film myself like this with Emily up. They said that there is a verdict and they're just waiting for the verdict to come out. So I just have Emily muted so I could say a few thoughts of my own. And as soon as I see some movement on her, I will be quiet and I will unmute her so we can hear the verdict. And I believe it's going to be guilty. So I am just going to open up my TikTok right here. And
at lovedreamingpeach.com.
Did she care?
It's going to tell us
Or she like stay
that
there?
an act includes any series of related actions arising from unlawful
dangerous.
killing of 3. There was an
Imminently
unlawful
dangerous.
killing of George Torres by an act imminently dangerous to another in demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life. The law goes on to define for us what a depraved mind is,
Did she care?
and also what an act is.
Did she care?
It's going to tell us
Or she like stay
that
there?
an act includes any series of related actions arising from and performed pursuant to a single design or purpose. An act is imminently dangerous to another in demonstrating a depraved mind if it is an act or a series of acts that 1, a person of ordinary judgment would know is reasonably certain to kill or do serious bodily harm to another, and is done from ill will, hatred, spite, or an evil intent,
And
is of such a nature that the act itself displays an indifference to human life.
does indicate.
Ladies and gentlemen, her conduct fits every one of those things. And if there was a scintilla of doubt that this was not the actions of a depraved mind, I point to you.
Is he going to play the video?
1062, the states 17. Mr. J, may you publish states 17?
Yeah, play the video. That's a perfect place to play the video. It's a well-executed place to play the video. Here it is. I love it when they use the jury instructions in closing. It makes it so clear for the jury. It's like, if there was any question about what she thought, here's the answer. Their case is just push play.
Shallow.
Everything you've done to me.
Shallow.
For everything you've done to me.
Shallow.
Fuck you.
Shallow.
Fuck you.
Shallow.
Stupid.
Shallow.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Shallow. I can't fucking breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do and choke me.
Shallow.
I don't know what happened in court. I don't know if they asked to approach. I don't know what they did, but the feed is still going. Court is still happening. I think they, it looks like I think that's the victim's mother. I wonder if she was crying in court and they asked her to leave. So it looks like the victim's mother is, I think that's the victim's mother is leaving court, and it might, or might have asked if she could leave court. The prosecution should have let them know that the video was going to be played in closing. They should have given the family the heads up, and then it looks like the attorneys are approaching. If she was sobbing, they might want to put that on the record. So it looks like they are still up at sidebar. Let me just back up because I paused. So outbursts in court during closing can be a problem, even if it's just a uncontrolled sob. So, yep. And then they said you may continue. Heartbreaking, and the prosecution should have given them a heads up. I hope they did.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Real ransom. Now you want to give it for it extra.
It's harder to watch after this trial. This is harder to watch than it was.
Real
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you cheat on me.
Sarah.
Fuck you!
can't breathe, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the fuck up.
Sarah.
Absolutely more chilling after seeing this entire trial, isn't
Ladies and
it?
gentlemen, that exhibit removes any scintilla of doubt about the depravity of the defendant's actions.
It's a strong argument.
But we know from the evidence.
Now just fast forwarding through the rest of his closing, and coming up in 2 seconds is an unbelievable motion.
Do not have any discussions among yourselves or anyone else. We'll bring it back in about 15 minutes. Thank you very much.
All right, there's going to be about a 15-minute break. Again, thank you, chat, for staying on topic with this trial. I know it's hard when there's a lot going on. I appreciate it. So, what did you guys think of that closing? I see that a lot of you liked it. I have to say I am incredibly biased towards this style of closing. Why? Because this is a style of closing that I preferred as a prosecutor. So it's like, I like to just be like, yeah, that's the way I like to do it too. Look at us. I like when the first part of the closing goes through the...
Okay, may proceed.
Goes through the jury instructions. He says he has a motion. Of course he does. I like it when they go through the jury instructions instead of a timeline. The jury's heard the facts. Go through the instructions and say, this instruction, this fact, this instruction, this fact. You don't need every fact. You need the critical facts. And I think that he did that well. And now Owens has a motion, because of course he does.
To a fair trial, I think.
Sarah has the right to a fair trial. I wonder if this is going to be about the outburst.
May be seated. Thank you.
Judge, I've got a motion.
Okay, may proceed.
He's already standing. I got a motion.
Sarah Boone's entitled to a fair trial. I think that right's been compromised.
How? How?
I don't know who's scheduled to put the two detectives on the front row with the Torres family, the family of the victim. But they had to have known to tell them that the suitcase video, which has been around for 4.5 years, was going to be played during opening statement. And the state attorney's office or the sheriff's department had to advise them, or the victim's advocate had to advise them, that if they couldn't take it in front of a jury that's trying to decide the case, they needed to get out of the courtroom. Now, what happened here today should not ever happen.
What happened?
There should be safeguards in place. There's no room for this after 2 weeks of a murder trial for something like that to happen.
It hasn't been 2 fucking weeks. It's been 6 days. Calm down. First of all, he's doing his job. Second of all, it makes me mad. I don't like this argument. He's not wrong that there should not be outbursts in court. I don't know how much of a thing there was because they cut the audio. I want to hear what he has to say. It has not been there was jury selection, but it has not been 2 weeks of evidence. But the victim's mother having to leave is the disturbance that he's talking about. I'll back up and let him have his dramatic moment. My apologies, Chad. I was annoyed.
In front of a jury that's trying to decide the case, they needed to get out of the courtroom. Now, what happened here today should not ever happen. There should be safeguards in place. There's no room for this after 2 weeks of a murder trial for something like that to happen. One of the Torres members of the family audibly, during the 2-minute suitcase video, expressed some kind of emotional reaction.
Now they're going to put it on
I
record.
look back, he or she were bent over in agony, physical pain. The physical pain followed the audible announcement.
What announcement?
You can't unring that bell. That's their responsibility to ensure that kind of thing doesn't happen, especially when they know they're going to show a video and the family of the victim is on the front row. I've never heard of such.
They have a right to be there.
I asked for a mistrial.
The prosecutors are so
I've never heard
calm.
of such a request. The victim's family has a right to be here. They were advised as to what will be used during closing arguments. I cannot make a decision for the victim's family and the homicide survivors as to whether or not they believe they can handle it. She clearly, or he, I don't know, couldn't, and I believe the appropriate thing was done. They left the courtroom. But again, to say this is intentional sabotage and all the accusations that continuously get made are unsubstantiated.
The hyperbole is exhausting.
It does not warrant a mistrial.
They're so calm.
You get warned, and sometimes they misjudge their own emotions. I don't understand what test we are expected to run on homicide survivors. So the motion should be denied.
Motion's denied.
I wish the court would clarify the record.
Jury's going to be back in about...
Belabor it. Your dinner is waiting in back. You don't have to buy her story, and you shouldn't. The inconsistencies. I'm not going to belabor it. Your dinner is waiting in back. Let's just briefly talk about the experts.
Okay,
and we'll move
Mr.
on
J.
to the end. Dr. Brandon was absolutely fantastic.
I'm not going to belabor it. Your dinner's waiting in
He
back.
explained everything that you all needed to know about battered spouse. Today,
I'm not going to belabor it. Your
he
dinner's waiting in
explained
back.
everything that you all needed to know about battered spouse syndrome.
The rebuttal, closing argument.
This isn't about whether one of them or both of them had battered spouse, because at the end of the day, she's the initial aggressor, and she had the duty to do the things that the law requires.
She's the initial aggressor.
But it does call into question the credibility of the past power dynamics of their. Those videos speak for themselves. The officer in the last video asks him, "Dude, you're a guy. Why don't you do something about this woman, your wife, who you don't want to rat on for beating you?" It's like, man, I'm not a beefcake. I'm not going to rat her out.
This is his conversation with police.
There's countless examples, if you apply Dr. Brandon's testimony to Juan Torres, that really shows you the power dynamics of the relationship. He was her violent pet. Dr. Harper, I don't find much quarrel with what she says about battered spouse syndrome, and nobody should. I mean, she's the expert. But she's not Ms. Boone's treating physician. She's not her treating psychologist. The way it was described in argument, and I believe from Dr. Brandon's testimony, was she's supposed to be a forensic detective. Get to the bottom of this. She's going to come in here at trial and tell you her opinion you should rely upon. with 9 visits, she never asked the defendant what it is the victim said that put you in imminent fear of death or great bodily harm.
That's a good rebuttal.
That's the crux of the matter, Doc.
Good rebuttal. That's a good rebuttal.
You're never going to ask her what it is he said or did for this grand jury instruction about threat of force or use of force? It's remarkable. And, you know, she didn't review everything that was presented to you. At the end of the day, it's your opinion that matters about this relationship. And again, we
Emily
agree with
D.
Dr.
Baker.
Warner. It doesn't matter. She had the duty to retreat. She had the duty to take the chokehold off. And if it was too dangerous for her to directly take the chokehold off, she had the duty to do something else, everything in her power, to stop him from dying because she started it. She set it in motion. She used the force grip on him from a distance, the couch and from bed. It was her obligation to stop. She didn't.
That's true.
But Dr. Warner, she was called by the state of Florida after having evaluated and listened to the defendant give a similar story and concluded that spouse doesn't apply. So she was never asked to delve any deeper into it. Given the information that she did have, the limited information, she agrees. Yes, Ms. Boone has battered spouse syndrome, but it doesn't apply to the case because she was the aggressor and she did not fulfill her obligations. And really just your gut common sense. Go back to jury selection. In jury selection, there was examples about bullies day after day doing something to somebody. And somebody raised their hand and said, don't they have to do something that day? Don't they have to do something that day? And he didn't. After he was put in fear of death and told her he can't breathe, the imminent threat of great bodily harm and death she is describing to you is him fighting for his life to escape.
So
she did not fulfill her obligations. Mr. Torres knows not to do anything when being videotaped. Bizarrely, shortly thereafter, they showed a very edited clip of him attacking her and slapping the phone out of her hands. He knows he was being videotaped, and there was another video like it too. So to make the argument that he doesn't do anything, he's a good boy when he's being videotaped, it's belied by their own argument. They showed one of the videos. Learned helplessness. She seemed to control everything. I mean,
all right, I just rewound it because I wanted to show this part.
Is George Torres' head is here.
Oh dear.
You can stand if you need. You've been sitting a long time too.
They just told the jury you can stand if you need to. He's like, take a stretch break.
His butt is kind of down here. His feet are here. And his hands and his knees are up here. He's in the fetal position, if we remember right. The hematoma on his head is on the left side.
Sarah showed the jury.
The deep bruises on his back are on his left side.
Oh no.
Yikes.
That's, you hear that? That's solid.
That's what I said. How did he get those injuries?
She put those marks on him while he was in there.
Yep.
The evidence doesn't support it.
Yep. She hit him.
You can conclude she used his bat when he was outside the suitcase.
I was drawing my hand.
You don't have to believe her when she said they were playing hide and seek. You don't have to believe her because she doesn't know the rules. She came downstairs, saw what she had done, and had all the opportunity in the world to clean up whatever mess may have been at the bottom of the stairs. But ladies and gentlemen, physics doesn't lie.
That was a good demonstration.
Can't expect you to believe her testimony about the loud boom being the day before compared to her two neighbors who weren't drinking, who have no interest in the outcome of the case, who suffer from none of the infirmities of her testimony. She suffers from all 6 infirmities. When her neighbors say there was a loud boom that night, there was a loud boom that night. Did it shake the wall they shared in common? It shook the wall that they shared in common. Did she have any injuries consistent with being dragged up and down the stairs the night before?
No.
No. You saw the pictures the CSI took. You don't have to accept her story about hide and seek.
I think he was trying to leave her. He got his suitcase. He was like, "I'm leaving you, bitch," and she.
It takes energy to make a loud boom.
Hit him with the bat.
Energy that could very well be in the form of somebody going down some of the stairs, all the stairs, in the suitcase, out of the suitcase. But that's what the evidence supports, is there was a loud boom that shook the walls and interrupted a FaceTime conversation that was so loud that the girlfriend on the other end heard it.
Oh, God.
Something loud happened. And then there was silence, according to the witnesses. And they can argue that Juan Torres' testimony was great for them. It's great for the state. She was screaming at him already at 7:30 p.m. She was already on her bully pulpit. And we know she doesn't need to put him into the coffin to get on her bully pulpit.
Yeah.
There's video after video of her on her bully pulpit telling you how it's going to be.
Yep.
How you're going to live your life. Go take a walk. Do this. Do that. You don't have to accept anything
I'm going
she
to fast
said.
forward now. I'm going to have to
You don't have to accept anything she said. It's inconsistent that he received the hematoma to his head, his bloody mouth. How is his mouth getting bloodied inside the suitcase? That's protected from her and her bat. But that suitcase, a 100-pound drunk woman is not beating through the wood of that suitcase or whatever it is that's making that noise when it's thumped. Ladies and gentlemen, those injuries happened outside of the suitcase.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, somebody or something went down those stairs. She has no injuries consistent with going down the stairs. He does. He has blunt force trauma all over him. You don't have to buy her story, and you shouldn't. The inconsistencies, I'm not going to belabor it. Your dinner is waiting him back.
Oh.
This is not a self-defense case under the law. Go back and follow the law. You cannot feel sorry for her. You cannot feel sorry for him. You cannot feel angry at her. You cannot feel angry at him. It's maddening to see their relationship. It is maddening. Nobody would want this life for yourselves or your children. It is violent nonsense, but it does not affect what she did and what her duties were under the law that night. She wanted to punish him. She did, and then she left him there. She did, and then she left him there. And she had an obligation, if you even believe her story about the imminent threat for him fighting for his life, she had an obligation to do something about it and not just go upstairs and let him suffocate. Thank you.
And the rebuttal is done at 6:58.
Thank you both.
Local time.
Members of the jury.
Get lovedreamingpeach.com.
Murdaugh's voice on the Bubba video as well. And the police interview in these videos by Sarah Boone is absolutely what's going to do it.
Yep.
So yes, it's all that self-snitching, chat. It's 100% that self-snitching. That self-snitching is not going to get you anywhere good. The use of one's words against themselves can be incredibly, incredibly compelling. So chat, we're gonna give you a counter because I know otherwise Octo is gonna come into the chat and be like, Emily, you have not given them an update on where we are. This is the update. Thank you, chat. Thank you. We are over 799,000. I very much appreciate you. We got 99 problems. Can we quote Jay-Z anymore? He's really close with Diddy. I don't know if we can. Ironically, Sarah's child is named Luke. Well, Lucas, yes. Lucas in it, and get ready for the rest of Verdict Watch. Launer, don't forget, we're on.
Oh. Wait, let me go back. Yes.
We're on Verdict Watch. I will let you know in the app. Don't forget to download it so you're kept in the loop. And if you just need to keep an eye on the...
So, the case is officially in the jury's hands. They are probably having dinner and then they will deliberate. It is 7:45 p.m. on Friday, October 25th, 2024. Let's see. All right, so she was arrested on February 25th of 2020. Let me see if I can zoom in so you can see that bigger. Okay, so today is 1,705 days from the day she was arrested, or 4 years, 8 months, and 1 day, or 56 months and a day, or 243 weeks and 4 days, and whatever sentence she gets when she's found guilty tonight, which I do believe she will be. I mean, I will be utterly flabbergasted, shocked if there's one person on that jury who's like, well, I kind of think, she was abused. Like, the only evidence, so-called evidence of her being abused is her word against a dead man. And her own videos that she took of herself abusing him. And the videos that she took of her killing him. Let's see what Peter's saying right now.
Of Sarah Boone. George Torres is not on trial for domestic violence here.
So this was him listening to the defense closing.
What evidence that they tried to put on? What evidence that they tried to paint Sarah?
What evidence? He said, what evidence has the state put on? Well, they showed a video of her filming him in the suitcase, begging for his life, saying he couldn't breathe. Then they showed another video of her also recording him saying Sarah in a very meek voice 11 minutes later. They showed a photograph that she took of him in the suitcase 20 minutes before that. There's the fact that he's dead. There's the fact of the body cam footage from the cops and everything that she said then. There's the 2 hours police interview video recording. There's all of the text messages that she sent to him and his family. And there's all the other videos that she took of him that show her abusing him, as well as the text messages show how abusive and off her rocker and like bipolar and borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder and obsessive narcissistic personality disorder and verbal abuse and physical abuse and psychological abuse and financial control and trying to actually, she kicked him out of where they lived. She got him off the lease. She refused to give him back his government issued identifications, paperwork, his social security card, his birth certificate, his license. She wanted him to come over. She was insisting in texts again and again that he come over. After she called the cops on him, after she kicked him out, after she got him off the lease, after she said it's over, after she verbally abused him and physically abused him and got him arrested. And then she ripped up his birth certificate and took a picture of it and sent it to him saying, look at what you made me do. She hacked into his Facebook and his phone, and she stalked him, and she stalked whoever else he was friends with or trying to be friends with. And she harassed him, and she harassed his mother and his brother and his sister and her own ex. There was evidence of witnesses, neighbors, her ex-husband, the coroner, the psychiatrist, the psychologist. So what are you talking about? What evidence? Mountains. And not mountains of evidence like Amber Heard's made up bullshit. That's what Sarah tried to put on. Sarah tried to put on made up mountains of evidence, claiming that the person she abused to death was somehow her abuser, the instigator, the one in control. Her own lawyer got up there in closing saying she was in control of the documents. She had the car. She had the money. She had the keys. She had the phone. Yeah. She isolated from his family. She isolated him from his children. She made it difficult for him to go to his job. She has all the hallmarks of the abuser. And George was battered to death by her. And I don't think that this jury is going to take very long to figure that out.
He sip him out. Thought that was powerful. That caught a lot of people's attention.
STS.
He invoked the Depraved Mind Act, which is basically, her conduct, he said, fits every definition of the depraved mind, which is an element in charging this case. And then this is when he said he called up State's Exhibit 17, which is the suitcase video. By the way, at the very end of the trial, they both sides go through all the exhibits to make sure that the jurors are getting the correct exhibit. So the jurors are getting the correct exhibit. So they're getting those photos, they're getting the videos, they're getting the text messages, they're getting the calls, the posters that James Owens had, all that. They play the video, the I can't breathe, that's on you. And then proves any scintilla of doubt about the depravity of the defendant. Exactly to the day, a month before, Sarah Boone sent a text and hammers home the point that a month before, almost exactly to the day, a month before, Sarah Boone sent a text message saying, "I'll get rid of him." He didn't go so far as to say this was premeditated murder.
Premeditated murder, but it could have been.
Point to show that she had it in for him. It will still not change the defendant being entitled to use deadly force. So
Not
everything they
entitled.
hear still hangs on this issue.
Wow. So I went from originally saying I have absolutely no interest in watching her case because she's an evil woman to watching it because of Peter. Now I'm waiting for Verdict Watch, and I'm going to add a bunch of clips of stuff that I screenshotted so far tonight. And it's been a little over an hour so far.
You'd either get from life in jail, but maybe it's just from stress, but it's much more noticeable. She red face that you'd either get from like drinking or stress. I mean, I don't think she's drinking in jail, but maybe it's just from stress, but it's much more noticeable in person, these kind of splotches. She had, as you know, a girlfriend there last week, no girlfriend in sight the last couple of days that I've seen. But just back to Cacciatore's, I thought he did a great job, and then I'll kind of go over James Owens' closings, and then we'll soon a lot out of him. So, but I mean, back to Sarah Boone, she, last week she couldn't sit still. As the days progressed this week, she's gotten quieter and quieter and kind of more comfortable in her little space there between James Owens and Tony Henderson. But she would look over, and one or two times she'll look back because Tony Henderson's daughter is sitting right in front of me, along with the blonde jury consultant person. And so, she turns around. She's a very, in person, like a very, and I don't mean to like denigrate her. I'm just making an observation, like a very splotchy red face that you'd either get from like drinking or stress. I mean, I don't think she's drinking in jail, but maybe it's just from stress, but it's much more noticeable in person, these kind of splotches. She had, as you know, a girlfriend there last week, no girlfriend in sight the last couple of days that I've seen. But just back to Cacciatore's, I thought he did a great job, and then I'll kind of go over James Owens closings, and then we'll wrap it until we maybe get a verdict. People, including Ryan Vesio, said he thought we would get a verdict within 2 to 3 hours. So it's possible that we get a verdict around 10 o'clock. By the way, Space, yes, go ahead.
We're also going to take some questions when you're ready. No problem.
We're done with closings. We're going to put up a poll. And the poll is, what is your verdict right now? After all the evidence, after all the closing arguments, I'm going to give you 4 options. Guilty of second degree, guilty of manslaughter, guilty of culpable negligence, or not guilty. Okay? And the guilty of second degree is depraved heart intended to end his life. Manslaughter is the intentional killing of another person in the heat of passion in response to an adequate provocation, doing so even through culpable negligence or some other act that intended to end somebody's life. Involuntary manslaughter is an unintentional killing, which is not a lesser included of second degree and not on the verdict form. Culpable negligence is just basically an accident that leads to to injuring somebody that is a first degree misdemeanor. Okay? If we need to dig into those more, I have the, I guess we can play that part if we want to on speed read.
See what they're saying.
All right, we can listen to the judge explain this real quick.
73% guilty of second degree, 20% manslaughter, 6% culpable negligence, 1% not guilty.
Of which he is charged. There may be evidence the defendant had an intent to cause death, hatred, spite, a depraved mind. 3.
All right, so we're starting with second degree murder and we'll go to the lesser included.
There was an unlawful killing of George Torres by an act.
So go ahead and put up the poll, Kelsey, and we're going to listen to what each of these things are while you guys are voting.
For the crime of second degree murder, the state must prove the following 3 elements beyond a reasonable doubt. 1. George Torres is dead. 2. The death was caused by the criminal act of Sarah Boone. 3. There was an unlawful killing of George Torres by an act imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life. An act includes a series of related actions arising from and performed pursuant to a single design or purpose. An act is imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind if it is an act or series of acts that, 1, a person of ordinary judgment would know is reasonably certain to kill or to serious bodily injury to another, and 2, is done from ill will, hatred, spite, or an evil intent, and 3, is of such a nature that the act itself indicates an indifference to human life. In order to convict of second degree murder, it is not necessary for the state to prove the defendant had an intent to cause death. 3.4, when there are lesser included crimes or attempts. In considering the evidence.
All right, so they intended to do the act that was reasonably likely to cause death, that was, overly reckless, of depraved heart, evil mind, a bunch of different definitions of it, and that's why they used that video. Okay, so that's second degree, and now we're going to get into the lesser included.
You should consider the possibility that although the evidence may not convince you that the defendant committed the main crime of which he is charged, there may be evidence that she committed other acts that would constitute a lesser included crime or crimes. Therefore, if you decide that the main accusation has not been proved beyond a reasonable doubt, you will next need to decide if the defendant is guilty of any lesser included crime. The lesser crimes indicated in the definition of second degree murder is manslaughter, culpable negligence. 7.7, manslaughter. To prove the crime of manslaughter, the state must prove the following 2 elements beyond a reasonable doubt. 1, George Torres is dead. 2A, Sarah Boone intentionally committed an act or acts that caused the death of George Torres. B, the death of George Torres was caused by the culpable negligence of Sarah Boone. Yes.
So that's kind of the confusing part about having culpable negligence as its own lesser included, because if she ended his life by culpable negligence, then technically it's manslaughter, but culpable negligence includes a personal injury. And so it's kind of confusing how you can do both there. But from my perspective, and I see the votes are already coming in, and the vast majority of people, over 70%, are saying guilty of second degree. It looks like in second place is manslaughter at 20%, culpable negligence is 6%, not guilty is only 1% at this point. I think I would kind of be in the manslaughter box, because I'm very confident beyond a reasonable doubt that that is the case. The depraved heart, depraved mind, reckless disregard for human life. All of that, from my perspective, when you add in the drunk, confident beyond a reasonable doubt that that is the case, the depraved heart, depraved mind, 1% at this point. I think I would kind of be in the manslaughter box because I'm very confident beyond a reasonable doubt that that is the case. The depraved heart, depraved mind, reckless disregard for human life, all of that, from my perspective, when you add in the drunk and went upstairs and passed out, not that voluntary intoxication is a defense to that, but what was her intent? What was her ill will? What did she want to happen? From my perspective, I just feel more comfortable with manslaughter. Personally, if I was voting as a juror, it seems like a lot of you guys are still at that second degree charge. And the votes will continue to come in as we listen to him describe culpable negligence.
Smart and beautiful. We forgive him for being a little soft on people.
Thank you for that clarification. Sarah Boone, I'll reread those for you. 2A. Sarah Boone intentionally committed an act or acts that caused the death of George Torres. Or B. The death of George Torres was caused by the culpable negligence of Sarah Boone. Every person has a duty to act reasonably towards others. If there is a violation of that duty without any conscious intent to harm, that violation is negligence. The defendant cannot be guilty of manslaughter by committing a merely negligent act, or if the killing was either justifiable or excusable homicide, as I previously instructed you. In order to convict of manslaughter by act, it is not necessary for the state to prove that the defendant had an intent to cause death, only an intent to commit an act. Intentionally committed an act.
So we can hear that one more time.
Or acts that caused the death of George Torres, or B, the death of George Torres was caused by the culpable negligence of Sarah Boone. Every person has a duty to act reasonably towards others. If there is a violation of that duty without any conscious intent to harm, that violation is negligence. The defendant cannot be guilty of manslaughter by committing a merely negligent act, or if the killing was either justifiable or excusable homicide, as I previously instructed you. In order to convict of manslaughter by act, it is not necessary for the state to prove that the defendant had an intent to cause death, only an intent to commit an act that was not merely negligent, justified, or excusable, and which caused death. I will now define culpable negligence for you. As I have said, every person has a duty to act reasonably towards others. If there is a violation of that duty without any conscious intention to harm, that violation is negligence. But culpable negligence is more than a failure to use ordinary care towards others. In order for negligence to be culpable, it must be gross and flagrant. Capable negligence is a course of conduct showing reckless disregard of human life, or of the safety of persons exposed to its dangerous effects, or such an entire want of care as to raise a presumption of a conscious indifference to consequences, or which shows wantonness or recklessness, or a grossly careless disregard for the safety and welfare of the public, or such an indifference to the rights of others as is equivalent to an intentional violation of such rights. The negligent act or omission must have been committed with an utter disregard for the safety of others. Culpable negligence is consciously doing an act or following a course of conduct that the defendant must have known, or reasonably should have known, was likely to cause death or great bodily injury.
See, I think that's kind of where I would land, is the manslaughter by culpable negligence, that she knew what she was doing should have led to death or serious bodily harm. And I don't think this was justified by battered spouse or self-defense by an overt act that she was in fear of imminent harm. I don't believe that. That's kind of where I would land. Somebody asked a good question here.
With second degree.
Where is it?
So she can get life. You know, I feel sad for her for 1 second, but
geez. If you were the holdout vote with 5 other jurors being in favor of second degree, could you be convinced to switch your vote, or are you certain enough to hang the jury? Just curious. No, I could be convinced. Yeah, I would have an open mind. I would discuss it with everybody. And I would discuss why people thought second degree, and I think I could get there. I'm between, if anything, second degree and manslaughter. That's where I would be in this case. My take from closing, even if it was mutual, he's the one that's dead and she did it. Situation reverse, what would we all be saying? Yeah, and this is what a lot of people have been commenting. Suber, can you imagine, or can you organize an interview with Owens content? I mean, I would talk to him. I'm not going to go out of my way to organize. I really am not one to go out of my way to organize interviews. Sometimes people reach out to me, which is cool, and you know, I'll talk to them. And the problem is, it's like, I want to be fair and I want to ask questions that are interesting and that have to do with the case. And if they don't want to talk about that, that's fine. If you would want to, I'd be fine with that too. That'd be cool to talk to him, I think, and ask him questions about this. Mary Claire, I knew somebody was going to mention this. When he referred to his 2 female defense attorneys as girls, yet introduced the men by name, I want to jump to the screen. I I don't know if I've cringed so hard in a long time. I was like, Smokey McDubs. The case has been laid out in its entirety. What do you think the jury will do? And we potentially have the biggest World Series in history. Change anything? It's a good point. I think if I had to guess or bet what the jury's going to do, and you guys have now confirmed by the chat being on the same page, I think the jury's going to come back with second-degree murder guilty.
I do.
I don't think it's going to be a hung jury. I think at the very least they will convict her of manslaughter.
But there's just
what did they ask the jurors in jury selection to, or that he seems so confident they won't see a man as DV? I don't know. I did not listen to all of jury selection. If found guilty, can the family go after Boone for any funds paid to her? Sure, but I don't know if there's going to be a lot of funds paid to her. Why did the state never bring up the fact that Sarah turned the suitcase upside down so George had no chance of getting out? They did, but they didn't highlight it. They did talk about how in the 2 videos it was flipped 2 ways, but they really didn't highlight it. Defense introed his female attorney numbers by the girls. And introed the male by their name. Not a good look. I caught it immediately. So did I. To where if a juror was going to vote guilty, the closings did not change their mind. If a juror was on not guilty, I think it's possible that some jurors' mind could be changed at least to manslaughter, if not second-degree murder, based on the arguments. Possible. Verdict tonight, if guilty, does the judge decide the penalty? Sentencing at a later date or immediately? I think sentencing will be at a later date. Yes, the judge will decide the sentencing. That's what happens in Florida. My guess is there's going to be a verdict tonight. It seems like everybody wants a verdict tonight. Did I hear right that the defense argued in closing death was unintentional after the entire argument was being intentional self-defense? He definitely argued there were unintentional elements. I know you want to give Owens credit, but can we please draw the line at using blatant misogyny as an argument? I'm not saying I don't want to give anybody, I'm not trying to give people credit just to give people credit. How long of a sentence is she facing at max? Life. How many times have you seen a black eye with no swelling? Look at Owen's huge picture. Yeah. I looked at it, I saw it. It looked real enough to me. I'm not an expert, though. I will agree with you there. I'm not an expert. Is the jury sitting on the defense's side? Yes, it seemed that way, which is also unusual. I've never had a trial like that. As a civil plaintiff, we usually sit on the juror side. His rebuttal set a seed in the jurors' minds that they do not have to believe her testimony and gave them a more convincing explanation about how she was killed. Jay swayed it for me. Well, kudos to him. And if he ends up winning, it goes down as a victory, and history is written by the victors. So good on him if they win, and they did enough. Without knowing the average age of the jury, I can't help but wonder if Owen's obvious old-fashioned notions were a turnoff to them. I think they were older. I'm not positive, but I also think it was predominantly women that were the ones actually deliberating. So were they offended by any of the girls' comments? I don't know.
Peter lives in Florida,
were they offended by any of the arguments? I don't know.
Close this.
Somebody asked a comment about how they know that maybe men weren't going to be seen as victims. Maybe that's why he thought. I don't know. Shouldn't it have been Owens with the Star Wars analogy? Ladies and gentlemen of this jury, if Chewbacca lives in Endor, you must acquit it. I'd acquit it. I'm not a big Star Wars nerd, so I don't mean to call them nerds. I mean Star Wars buff, I should say. I don't know what any of this means. I have seen them, but I don't have them memorized. I do not believe Sarah Boone was ever in fear for her life. I agree. I don't know about ever. Okay, hold on. I'm not going to say that she was never in fear for her life ever with George. I don't know if I'd go that far, but that night, I don't think she was while he was in the suitcase. The way she spoke to him while taping him as he cowered against the wall truly demonstrated her narcissist need for dominance, not fear. I don't really, my take was he also wasn't afraid of her. Definitely not physically. GT Ace shirt was worn by a family member. I voted manslaughter on your instructions, intended to cause death, but the judge said intent to cause death not required. Correct. On the judge's instruction, go second-degree murder. Yeah, but you have to intend to commit an act that is reasonably likely to cause death.
Which it is.
So there's that element of it.
So a verdict is in. They've just announced that they have a verdict. So I am currently recording myself on my iMac and watching Emily D. Baker, who is streaming. She's about to stream it. So on my YouTube channel, I will post myself watching Emily watching the results of the verdict. The sentencing will not be today. It will be another time. And as Emily just pointed out, the families will have the time to have an impact statement where they will get to say how they've been impacted by this, and that will go towards sentencing. So I'm going to pause this one, and I will be back when they're back. Oh my God, they're back. Hold on. Let me unmute Emily.
Wait, I don't have sound. Hold on. We are going on the record for the verdict. And my sound is in the place. Streaming is dynamic. That's a fail. That's totally me.
Case number 2020 CF 2603, State of Florida versus Sarah.
Okay, we're going to go 1.25.
Defense.
We're going 1.25 until we're live.
Okay, all right. Ms. Boone is seated at counsel's table, wearing the same clothing from this morning.
There we go.
Seated at counsel's table, wearing the same clothing from this morning.
There we go.
Yes, Mr. Beck.
Did Sarah have more of a reaction to him mentioning she's wearing the same clothes than when she got a guilty verdict?
Yes, Mr. Beck.
Judge, they've got her in chains, and they've got her in the ankle.
Sad and heartbreaking, but no, girl, you're not getting out of those chains.
I'm just asking, we would like to rise during the...
They got her in chains.
When the jury comes in, they want her unshackled.
The handcuffs and the waist chain.
I don't know if they want to unshackle her for verdict.
In case there's something wrong with the verdict form, or there's an issue, which sometimes happens, but that's my position.
Okay. I've been advised by the sheriff that during the reading of the verdict, due to Ms. Boone's status as an inmate, their leg irons and the cuffs are to be attached.
She's going to stay seated.
That's fine.
Mr. Beck's going to stay seated.
I would ask for us all to remain seated, and could you remind everybody in the gallery
Yes.
That there should be no emotional reaction?
I was just about to address that, sir.
Everyone remain seated.
All right, members of the jury,
She's...
my understanding is that the jury in this matter has reached a verdict.
Yes.
I don't know what it's going to be until it's read. If you are unable to contain yourself emotionally, and you're going to react in any way, be it in joy or in sadness,
displeasure,
I'm going to ask you politely to excuse yourself at this time.
No reactions in
There
court.
cannot be any emotional outbursts when the verdict is read. Does everybody understand that? I see everybody nodding their heads. Okay. State, are we ready to bring in our jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense, are we ready to bring in our jury?
Yes, Judge.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in our jury. Everyone will remain seated.
Bring the jury.
Judge Newman.
Bring the jury.
All right.
It's from the Murdoch.
That's them buzzing for the jury.
Oh my God.
We are live in real time, and we are waiting for the verdict to come in. How are y'all feeling? A little nervous? A little nervous waiting for a jury? It's real hard when you're the lawyer in court. Your heart rate goes up, and you're sitting there going, and you just have to sit there still and look down. Do you see the prosecutors looking at the table? That's it. You sit there and look down. You don't even necessarily want to watch the jurors' faces as they come in. I'm going to see if Sarah Boone does, because sometimes you can tell if the jurors' eyes go immediately to the victim's family, which sometimes happen in court. You can get a sense for what they're thinking based on how they enter the courtroom. And so I'm not surprised that the lawyers have their heads down. I would expect Sarah to be looking directly at the jury as they come in. But
State, do you recognize our jury?
There they are.
Defense, do you recognize our jury? Members of the jury, you may be seated. Thank you.
This will probably go pretty fast. The court
Members
will
of our
review the
jury,
verdict
good evening.
forms.
I understand that you've come to a verdict in this case.
Yes.
If you could please
they
hand
all
the
said yes.
verdict form to the deputy, please.
I imagine he'll poll this jury. Did you hear numerous voices say yes?
Thanks, sir.
The court
Clerk,
will
if you could
review.
Please publish the verdict.
And she's going to read it right now.
Oh my God.
Court of the Ninth Judicial Circuit in Orange County, Florida, case number 2020 CF 2603, the state of Florida versus Sarah Boone. Verdict. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree.
Guilty, count
as
one.
charged in the information.
And that's that.
So say will, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 25th day of October 2024. The form has been signed by the foreperson.
Sarah
Madam
Boone,
Clerk,
guilty,
please
count
poll our
one.
jury.
And now they'll be
Juror
polled.
seat number 1, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes, it is.
Juror seat number 2, is this your true and correct verdict? Yes, it is. Juror seat number 3, is this your true and correct verdict? Juror seat number 4, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror seat number 5, is this your true and correct verdict? Yes. Juror seat number 6, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
That
Members of
juror
our
was
jury, again, I want to thank you for your
you hear
time, your sacrifice,
Yes, it
and your
is.
attention in this matter.
I know that we spent almost 2 weeks together,
We're gonna run
and
that
it
back
was not
later.
taken
That
lightly,
jury was.
and I really
Yes.
appreciate the time and the effort and the
Wow,
sacrifice that you
I'm
put
not
into this
surprised
case.
at all.
I want to advise you now of your final instruction. Members, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you for your time and your consideration in this case. I also wish to advise you of some very special privileges enjoyed by jurors. No juror can ever be required to talk about the discussions that occurred in the jury room except by court order. For many centuries, our society has relied upon juries for consideration of difficult cases. We have recognized for hundreds of years that a jury's deliberations, discussions, and votes should remain their private affair as long as they wish it. Therefore, the law gives you a unique privilege not to speak about the jury's work. Although you are at liberty to speak to anyone about your deliberations, you are also at liberty to refuse to speak to anyone. A request to discuss either your verdict or your deliberations may come from those who are simply curious, from those who might seek to find fault with you, from the media, from the attorneys, or elsewhere. It will be up to you to decide whether to preserve your privacy as a juror. With that, members of the jury, again, I thank you for your service. I'm going to ask you return to the deliberation room. I'll be back there shortly with your jury certificates. And thank you.
I'll be back there shortly. And then we're going to be on the record to set a scheduling date unless he does it now. And he might do it now.
It's so sad.
They had to have prepared her for this when this verdict came back this fast.
Ms. Boone, the jury has spoken in this matter and has found you guilty of murder in the second degree. The court adjudicates you guilty of murder in the second degree. As this is your first felony conviction, you are entitled to a pre-sentencing investigation by the Department of Corrections. Mr. Owens, are you seeking that in this case?
Yes.
Okay.
That'll take some time.
State, I will order the Department of Corrections to prepare the
PSR
pre-sentencing investigation.
There's the box.
State,
that
for the purposes of
suitcase
sentencing, do you anticipate
was in.
eliciting any testimony from, be it the victim's family?
2 or 3 victim impact statements, sir.
Okay. Mr. Owens, do you plan on presenting any evidence during the course of the sentencing hearing, sir?
Probably some testimony from Dr. Harper.
Okay, all right. How long do you think, state, that you would need?
After this.
You mean timing-wise, or are we thinking?
A quantum of time, sir. Yeah, well, normally it takes about 30 days or so.
Quantum of time.
I'm with Anita as to availability. I just want to know from your side of the ledger, how much time? Okay, 15 minutes. How much time do you think you're going to need to produce anything from your side of the ledger, sir? Mr. Owens?
I'd say 30 minutes.
Okay.
30 to 45.
So if we set this for an hour, that would be sufficient.
Pardon me, agree.
He's going to talk for 45
Is that sufficient,
minutes
Mr. Owens?
to try to convince them
Okay, all right, give me a
to
moment.
give her
So
some
they're
leniency.
trying to find a
She took the
date
man's life.
more
The
than
man
30
is
days
dead.
out where
He
they have an
has
hour.
3 daughters.
The
are
PSI
fatherless.
is done by probation parole department, and it evaluates the crime. Sarah Boone, they interview her. We see it in quite a lot of cases. So it's a report that's conducted by the Department of Corrections before she is sentenced. It's not been done before because this is her first felony conviction. Actually, let me gain that back up. That was better. But that's what that report is. The prosecution will also make a sentencing recommendation either by memorandum or verbally in court. They will have 2 to 3
Mr.
victim
Harris is
impact
checking.
statements.
Just give us a moment.
They said 15 minutes for those statements. It might take longer. The defense said they might have Dr. Harper come in. I don't know if they actually will at the end of the day, but might as well reserve the time in case you want to. And then Sarah will have the opportunity at sentencing to make a statement to the court. And then the court will have an opportunity to make a statement about this case. For those of you asking what she is facing, her minimum sentence is 22 and a half years. Her maximum is life. For those of you asking what she is facing, her minimum sentence is 22 and a half years. Her maximum is life.
We can set this matter for 1:30 in the afternoon for sentencing on December 2.
Wow.
State, is that acceptable?
All right.
Sure enough. Bitch ain't got nowhere to go anyhow.
I just status hearing, but I'll make it work.
I can move it to later if necessary.
I'm co-counsel on it.
Okay, defense.
Give me 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
I saw a
That's
couple.
Monday, December 2 at 1:30?
Yes, sir. Yes.
I can be here.
All right.
That's
Ma'am, you've been adjudicated guilty.
George's
I now
family
remand
there.
you into the custody of the Orange County Jail pending sentencing on December 2 at 1:30.
Children,
State, anything else
brother,
we need to address?
Mother.
Defense. All right, thank you very much. We're off the record.
She will stay in jail until she is sentenced and then will be transferred to the prison. So that is the end. That was exactly 6 days of evidence. The opening statement started last Friday, closing arguments this Friday, and they convicted in under an hour and a half. Time to eat dinner, time to discuss the case, and then they are going to talk to the judge, and then the jury will be able to leave. Sarah Boone is going to, they are going to talk to the judge, and then the jury will be able to leave and decide what they want to do. Again, I see a lot of you saying Sarah should have taken the plea deal. I don't think Sarah agrees. I still think Sarah Boone is going to see this as everyone doesn't understand. Nobody understands. Nobody sees it the way she does. And I don't know if that impression will change. But the judge will probably have some words about it. And we heard, I'll rewind it, but we heard when the jurors were polled how forcefully and quickly those jurors said, yes, this is our verdict. So I will answer some of your questions and then we will wrap this up. For those of you just tuning in, that verdict came back about an hour and a half. Guilty on second-degree murder, which was the main charge here. And I think this jury felt pretty strongly about it based on all of that. So with that, the state had offered her a manslaughter for a maximum of 15 years. The max on manslaughter is 15 years, so max plea deal. And well, that's the end of that feed. They're like, yep, we're out.
I wanted to see her get taken
give me
away.
1 second. I imagine another feed is still running. Hold on. The way I feel attacked by that feed just noping right out. Absolutely attacked by the feed just ending on us unceremoniously. Hold on. I know there are other feeds. Let me just go grab it from Court TV. A lot of the feeds have tickers on the bottom, and that is not my favorite. But tickers are better than advertisements, so you know we will take that because I do want to rewind and hear what that juror had to say. So thank you for your patience as we switch back to live court now. I appreciate you, Leonard. So there we go. Back in live court. But I do want to, I was like, damn it, I wanted to rewind. It's so aggressive.
I just want to see if she's going to take her away.
Also, she wants to talk to her attorney and is sitting there talking to her attorney. So that is what is going on.
Well, I guess the lady is just sitting there waiting for her to finish talking because she's got to like put the chain.
Oh my God,
around
lady's
her.
like, no ma'am, you do not need this folder. Put it down.
Thank you.
Off we go, back to jail.
I appreciate it.
All right.
No
so
tickers.
There she's got the chain around her, and off
Sarah
she
Boone
goes.
is being let out, so I will rewind this real quick. Oh, nope. Are they going to fingerprint her before she's let out? Yes, they are. All right. We're going to switch feeds real quick because I literally can't. And we will stay on the feed. Thank you, Miguelina, for grabbing that. I appreciate it. So thank you. And thank you, chat. Find the feed that works. We're not going to have any audio on this at all. The cameras are cut appropriately, but we'll get to see what finishes out in court. And she's going to end up getting new fingerprints taken. Doesn't look like she said anything to anyone in the audience as she was leaving. And then we'll rewind to hear what the jury, how the jury was polled, right? The jury was just like, whoop. So, Deb C asked, will his family speak to the press tonight? I heard they spoke to Court TV this morning. I can go look for that and see. Actually, Miguelina, will you look and see if you see that? I don't know if they'll speak tonight. I don't think I'd want to. This was an over 10-hour day for them. It's an incredibly exhausting day, so I wouldn't want to speak to the media after that long of a day. This is a long
4 years and
long
7 months
day.
since they've lost
She's getting
one.
re-rolled on her fingerprints. I just want to see if she tries to hug the deputy. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's where I'm at.
Apparently, according to STS, she's got a girlfriend.
Some of that body cam footage that we saw. So I am just, we're gonna see what's happening. She would have been fingerprinted originally. She's being re-fingerprinted
Did Peter
tonight.
come
So
on?
that is what they are doing.
He did.
I think we'd all have an open conversation, Sheree, and I think you'd be a big part of it, right? I think each person that has a really strong stance of where they are would tell each other what they think and why they think it.
She's still smiling.
And like I said, I was always kind of between second degree and manslaughter. I would have voted for manslaughter personally if I was, king of the court and was just a one-man jury. But if I wasn't, it would be open conversation, I think, if, me and my fellow jurors, you and your fellow jurors, whoever the 6 people.
Hold on, let me go back a little sec.
Back to the seal.
Like I said, she's going to do well in jail. She'll thrive.
So that is what they are doing.
She's fine. She doesn't have to have a job.
She got her folder back. Okay, she just needed her fingerprints done. So here's your folder back, lady. Generated art for Blue-Eyed White Devil, Blue-Eyed White Dragon, something like this.
She does not seem
not too broken
all that flustered. Truly. So
she's like,
Magdalena, is there one from this morning? And back to the seal of the great state of Florida. Great seal of the state of Florida. At some point, we're going to have to take a poll of the best seals that we have seen, because there have been some great ones. So
and interview victims, victims' families, things like that.
I do like the palm trees.
I mean bias because we know more. So bias to me, and maybe we all talk about bias. Let me look up what the definition of bias is.
Yeah, do that, Peter, and then I'm
just like dictionary.com. Prejudice in favor or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way considered to be unfair. Yeah, that's how I see bias. I see bias as a negative thing, as a bad thing.
Right.
I enjoy how forcefully the male jurors say.
Madam Clerk, if you could please publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 9th Judicial Circuit in Orange County, Florida, case number 2020 CF 2603, the state of Florida versus Sarah Boone. The verdict: we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree as charged in the information. So say we all dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida.
Peter didn't seem very reactive.
October 2024. The form has been signed by the full person.
Madam Clerk, please poll our jury.
Juror seat number 1, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes, it is.
Juror seat number 2, is this your true and correct verdict? Yes, it is. Juror seat number 3, is this your true and correct verdict? Juror seat number 4, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror seat number 5, is this your true and correct verdict? Yes. Juror seat number 6, is this your true and correct verdict? Yes, ma'am.
Members of our jury, again, I want to thank you for your time, your sacrifice, and your attention in this matter. I know that we spent almost 2 weeks together, and it was not taken lightly, and I really appreciate the time and the effort and the sacrifice that you put into this case. I want to advise you now of your final instruction. Members, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you for your time and your consideration in this case. I also wish to advise you of some very special privileges enjoyed by jurors. No juror can ever be required to talk about the discussions that occurred in the jury room. Should speak of anyone will be up to the jury with your look in this penalty of murder in the second degree, as this is your investigation. Okay. State, I will order the Department of Corrections to prepare the purposes of sentencing victims, victim impact statements, any or sub-ledger.
The top verdict has to be top and highest charge, and absolutely lightning quick verdict. Has to be one of the quickest verdicts for this serious of a charge that we've maybe ever watched on the channel. Quickest verdict I've ever had is multiple hours. I've never had a verdict come back in an hour and a half in any case. Home run by the prosecution team. They've got to feel amazing about it. Nicole, wonder how much closing played into their decision. My guess, this is a complete guess, not a ton. Like I said, I feel like most of the jurors probably had their mind made up before closing.
Yeah.
Queen of the North, yes, I like this judge very much. Peter, shall we take bets on how long it will take for Sarah Boone to send her next letter to Judge K? If you'd like to. But Cleanse with Fire, why didn't you take the plea, Sarah? And I think reports from like Joel, Survivor, and people in the courtroom is like the defense knew it was going to be a quick verdict. I'm sorry, yeah, a quick verdict. They were expecting that.
Why didn't you take the plea, Sarah?
They wanted it. They didn't ask to wait till Monday. They wanted to wait till 10 o'clock. From my perspective,
they were like,
this is incredibly damning, obviously. And I also just going with this was an accident, unintentional, some kind of manslaughter, maybe even involuntary manslaughter would have been the better route for the defense. Turning it into the battered spouse, which I understand why they got there and how they got there, and saying things were intentional.
Did you hear that?
Ooh, that was a big risk, and it really didn't end up paying off. It really didn't end up paying off. Emily, Peter, first super chat. Could you could go to sentencing since they moved so quick this week and you couldn't go. So here's what we can talk about. We can talk about, depending on the sentencing, because it's only one day, but either trying to go to sentencing or trying to go to the Adelson trial in Tallahassee. That's another one that popped into my head that I could easily go to. Potentially, I will let the people decide.
Oh, yeah,
Sucks
Peter.
I wasn't able to go to this. I was looking forward to it and planning on it.
I'm kind of glad that he wasn't ever
Can
in
the
the
defense
same room
ask
as
for
her,
it to be
'cause
overturned or whatever because it was such a quick verdict, Linda?
Scary.
I don't think that's an indication that it should get overturned. I think if they have appellate issues, they'll make them. I think they will have appellate issues.
2 hours,
especially with not getting that continuance, and this being pushed, and the issues that came with that limited time, deposing witnesses during trial, changing of opinions. Those are going to be their best appellate arguments. Let's hear what else they say about sentencing.
All right, I'm going to pause this.
I just got back from Dairy Queen, by the way.
Madam Clerk, if you could please publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the Ninth Judicial Circuit in Orange County, Florida, case number 2020 CF 2603, the state of Florida versus Sarah Boone. Verdict. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree as charged in the information. So say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 25th day of October 2024. The form has been signed by the foreperson.
Madam Clerk, please poll our jury.
Juror seat number 1, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes, it is.
Juror seat number 2, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes, it is.
Juror seat number 3, is this your true and correct verdict? Juror seat number 4, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror seat number 5, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror seat number 6, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Members of our jury, again, I want to thank you for your time, your sacrifice, and your attention in this matter. I know that we spent all.
Yeah, that's how I see bias. I see bias as a negative thing, as a bad thing. We too did DQ for my son's birthday. Bravo. What's your go-to, Crystal B? I enjoy how forcefully the male juror said yes. Wouldn't even let him finish asking. I noticed that too. Get the Reese Pie Cup Blizzard. It's even better. I don't know if I like Reese Pie. I love Reese Cups. I love Reese Cups. Peter, how long does an appeal usually take? If she wins the appeal, has she served, say, 5 years? So a total of 10. Can they just dismiss the charges? They could work out some kind of a deal potentially, but appeals can take years. Every appeal is kind of different, but it can take years. All say yes. So that's it. Sarah Boone convicted. Second-degree murder, looking at 22.5 years to life. Azam, are there any pleas after verdicts? Yes. Sometimes it does happen. It is unusual, but sometimes it does. Oh, Owens is speaking outside of court. Let's get to it. I still have it up. Is it on the Law and Crime stream?
Owens speaking with reporters. Let's listen in.
You know, in shock. She said she would call me tomorrow morning, so we'll talk some more after she's had some time to think about it. I've had some time to think about it, but, you know, we're obviously really disappointed. We did the best that we could, you know, in the time that we had to prepare. Sarah really liked the team, and we all got along with the 3 lawyers and the other 2 girls that have helped the other lawyer, 4 lawyers working on the case. And Sarah was, as you know, really happy with us. And, you know, we had some disagreements about how the case should proceed. And Sarah, you know, is opinionated and some of the things we considered, some not. But ultimately, I think she was happy with the defense. It just didn't go our way. As you know, these trials, a murder charge is a difficult case to beat, and there was some strong evidence that
Tend to agree.
the state used, obviously, and we just, for whatever reason, the jury didn't consider some of the things that we felt like should have potentially been defenses, the justifiable use of force under the battered spouse syndrome. But for whatever reason, we respect the jury's decision. They've been here for 2 weeks. Took us 4 days to pick the jury, and so I'm sure they did the very best that they could under the circumstances.
Was it her decision to not take the plea deal? You think she regrets it now?
Careful.
I don't
Be very careful.
think she would have taken anything. I think she wanted, some clients, they want their day in court, and I don't believe she would have taken anything.
Like, instead of saying that, okay, and I don't want to be overly critical, I probably would have said she believes she's innocent. She wasn't going to take a plea deal because she absolutely believes she's innocent. Not she wanted her day in court. That could have a lot. I feel like Twitter might go a little wild with that comment, that she wanted her day in court.
I felt like the state should have probably negotiated a little bit more, but they were firm on where they were, and Sarah was firm.
I mean, saying that now in hindsight, it's like maybe they shouldn't have negotiated at all since they got an hour and a half, guilty verdict. But I agree with him that when you're seeking justice and the state should make a deal, I think that was a fair offer, but they probably could have come down from the max on manslaughter, like 13 years, something like that. So he's saying state should have come down anymore, but he's also saying his client wouldn't have taken anything. So it doesn't seem like it was ever going to get done.
Firm on where she was. I just think, she was convinced in her mind that that she felt like, I didn't, obviously.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Owens. It's late. Okay, so things are going to go a little off the rails. I did not say my favorite burger was McDonald's. I said people probably think me saying the best ice cream is Dairy Queen is like somebody saying my favorite burger is McDonald's. So I apologize if that went rogue there. Pumpkin pie blizzard for the win. That's what my daughter got tonight. Pumpkin pie blizzard. Hawaiian blizzard. I've never. What is that? Pineapple and something, I assume? Pineapple and ham? That's Hawaiian pizza, right? Interesting. Sri said, I see in psychology, bias neither plus or minus. Okay, so that's good. See, we learn from each other. We see the same word can mean different things, which is why words and definitions are very important. The judge decides the sentence. Nikki, truly, even if he thinks she's full of it, does he have to do the whole speech and pretend he was shocked?
Felt like she didn't intend to kill George, and that this was just a circumstance because they were both intoxicated. Things happened that, it was just really unintentional act. So I think she felt bad.
That sounds different than your defense, right? That sounds a little bit different than the defense you went with. I think that's the better story. I think a jury may have bought this was all an accident and it should have been some lower level crime.
About any kind of a murder conviction or pleading to any kind of a murder, that she was somehow criminally responsible for George's death. And I think that's where her mindset was. And, I think she would have gone to trial even without lawyers. She was ready to go to trial pro se. I think she was happy we came in. We worked as hard as we could. We had about 45 days to get ready, and we did it all that we could. So I think she feels good about our efforts. We put everything out on the table, just like any other contest. You do the very best you can, and then you have to accept, the decision by the jury. We respect the jury and appreciate.
I do appreciate that, right? He's not being a jerk. He's just answering the questions. He's in a tough spot, right? But
all right, so if you just missed that, there is breaking news. The verdict was reached and Sarah Boone was found guilty. We do have Ryan Vesio, who is hopping on to give us a quick 10 to 15 minute analysis. We are going to have him hopping on any minute. I don't know whether or not Joel is going to come back out and guilty of second-degree murder. This was a very fast turnaround, 1 hour and 29 minutes. Does that surprise you?
It does a little bit. It's good to see that with a verdict of this length, it's likely that the jury pretty much had their minds made up and wanted to go through everything. I did expect that this was going to be longer, but obviously it's the outcome that a lot of people were looking for, and I think it's the right outcome based upon what we've seen.
Yep.
And Ryan, obviously, we were there today watching everything. It was a very long, drawn out closing. Do you think that's what resonated with the jurors? I mean, 1 hour and 29 minutes, I think, is faster than many people assumed it would be. Do you think there was one particular moment that really resonated with them and could have impacted having such a short verdict?
Well, I think the state's rebuttal
Any
really
doubt.
in pointing out with the use of the baseball bat and suitcase and the likelihood that George's injuries and all of the blunt force trauma was likely caused even before the suitcase, I think was a really compelling argument and explanation. In the end, the deliberations took less than half of the time that we all sat through closings today. So oftentimes trial lawyers think they know where the jury is at, but in the end, it seems as if the jury was pretty set in what they thought happened in this case, and we saw that through a pretty quick verdict.
And, you know, most of the people here watching are saying that they're not surprised, that they were hoping for justice for George, and they do believe this is the right verdict. What does she face now in sentencing?
So the bottom of the sentencing guidelines will be 22.5 years, for which she'll be required to serve at least 85% of that amount, which equates to roughly 19 years. 18 to 19 years. With the credit that she's received in the jail already, roughly she'll be incarcerated for at least 15 years, if 15 additional years if the court gives the lowest permissible sentence. However, Judge Cranick could sentence her to life in prison, and in Florida, life is life because there is no parole.
And what does it say about having such a fast deliberation? I mean, I don't know if there's like a typical amount of jurors to deliberate, but this is obviously, I think, fast by any standard.
This was a lot faster than most people anticipated. In these types of cases, oftentimes jurors focus on particular facts. You know, when you're entrenched into a case, either as the attorney or a detective or a defense attorney, or even some of your viewers who watch crime series a lot, sometimes we tend to overanalyze and put too much importance on too many facts. In this case, this very simply could have come down to the videotape, which has sensationalized this case so much, and the fact that we got to hear George in his last moments. However, Sarah likely went too far in trying to paint George as being completely different during those 11 minutes that there was no tape.
And Ryan, what's the process now? People are asking, what happens to Sarah Boone from now until sentencing?
So she will go back to her cell, her lonely cell that she's been asking for a companion for in the Orange County Jail until sentencing on December 2nd.
That's creepy.
At that time, once she is sentenced, within about 2 weeks, she'll be sent to the Florida Department of Corrections Reception Center. It's customary that incoming defendants will remain at the reception center for about 30 to 60 days before they are classified and sent to one of the 60-plus prisons in the state of Florida.
And one of our viewers here, Lee T, is asking, what's involved in the pre-sentencing investigation?
So the Department of Corrections staff will interview Sarah. They'll interview friends and family of Sarah. They will conduct a background search into her education, her jobs. They're likely to talk to her ex-husband. The Department of Corrections will also look some into George Torres and his family and his background. Ultimately, after they conduct their interviews, the pre-sentence investigation will conclude with those findings, along with a recommendation from the Department of Corrections to the court on what they believe the sentence should be. Oftentimes, those recommendations are non-specific, and in other instances, when they are, oftentimes the court will not always follow those recommendations for higher or lower, because it's the court's job, who sat through all of the testimony, who handled the case. Judge Cranick is in the best position to decide how long Sarah Boone will be incarcerated for.
So curious. December 2nd, huh?
All right, great. And we actually have a press conference going on right now. So Ryan, if it's all right with you, I'm going to let you go back to enjoy.
I mean, there you go. Sarah Boone is found guilty of second-degree murder, unsurprisingly, and none of her tactics worked. Thank God for her that she had lawyers. I'm actually so grateful for the fact that despite all the problems, the issues, the conflicted out lawyers, the lawyers who she ran off, then having to go pro se, and it's like there was no way she was ever going to get off pro se. But at least now she had a team of lawyers. They did their best. They advocated for her, any little tiny speck of a thread that they thought that they could pull and try to make fetch happen and try to make something out of nothing and try any which way but loose, because girl, you are never getting loose. Thumbs up. So I'm going to go back and watch the rest of the things that everybody's saying. And follow me, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and leave a comment, leave an emoji like a unicorn or a peach or a rainbow or whatever your favorite emoji is, and ask a question, leave an opinion. You can also subscribe or watch the playlist. I have tons of videos that I've done about this case, and I'm just glad that, you know, I'm not really glad, you know, at the very end there, seeing her, I feel sad for her. I feel sad, not sad in a way where I feel like she should walk free, because I feel she's a danger to society and possibly a danger to herself, and that ultimately she was terribly abusive and she was controlling and probably has some personality disorders, and she killed a man. She killed a man with her depraved heart and her absolute not caring about his life. And that's what I was saying. I think that she will do well in jail. I think that she'll make some kind of life for herself. She'll have some kind of relationships. She'll exert power and manipulation and tactics and gain whatever she can. And she'll probably be someone that people are afraid of. And she'll probably enjoy that. And in some way, she'll enjoy the notoriety, I guess, of being infamous. And, you know, I was thinking, she is now, I mean, she chose actions that made it so that her and George would be, you know, tangled together forever in some horrific way, because she killed him. And so he stopped living. He no longer got to meet someone else, be a father to his children, enjoy life with his family, mom, dad, siblings, cousins, everybody, niece, nephew, aunt, uncle. Never got to get clean and fix himself up and gain some weight and gain some health and maybe gain some self-esteem and recognize you were so battered, you were so abused, and you were thrown in jail because the system is often skewed against men. Even in Owen's closing, he tried to say, you never hit a woman no matter what she says or does. No, motherfucker, no. That's not how we're going. So I'm glad that justice prevailed, but everything about this case is tragic. All right, I'm tired. Thanks. Some AI generated art for Blue-Eyed White Devil, Blue-Eyed White Dragon, something like this. Sarah Boone, is that how she wants us to see her? Yeah, white devil with blue eyes. There we go. Sarah Boone, AI version.
Get lovedreamingpeach.com.
Auto-generated captions have typos, and I'm going to sleep now, so I'm not going to fix it.
I think I look as tired as I am. It's 1:42 a.m. It's Saturday, October 26, 2024. And I gotta go to sleep. I made a video reacting to the Sarah Boone verdict being read out on Emily D. Baker's page. And
I have like a longer video to put together, and I thought it was done, but it's not done. But anyway, I just wanted to have a little reaction before I go off to sleep. And, you know, I have to say, like, when I very first heard about it, my first reaction was, I don't even want to watch about this trial because this lady is so creepy. She gives me this super creepy vibes. Like, who would do that? Who would lock their boyfriend in a suitcase and let them die? That's super creepy, okay? But throughout the trial, there were so many things that came out. Maybe I'll do a video about it tomorrow because I'm so tired. I don't think I could actually give it justice, but essentially, let me see if I could say it like the TLDR. Sarah Boone, the blue-eyed white devil, the blue-eyed white dragon, that is who she truly is. Today I learned that George Torres' oldest daughter, I think her name was Victoria, she said that nickname, that came out of Sarah Boone's little mind. Something like that, she said. But as far as the rest, as far as they didn't like her, that was true. But she didn't like them either. So Sarah Boone is, I believe she has narcissistic personality disorder or something like it, borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder. She's probably bipolar. She might be some other kind of things. She was married to her husband, Brian. They had a kid, and then they got divorced. And I still never went back and thoroughly watched Brian's testimony, but I do know that he said that she was the aggressor and that she physically abused him. They were supposed to have split custody with her having the kid, 1 week, him having the kid another week, and it turned out she picked him up Mondays and Tuesdays, like she had him 1 or 2 days a week, and even on those days, Brian had to call her incessantly because number one, she wouldn't pick up, and number one, because she often would forget. She'd be too drunk, she wouldn't show up, and he'd end up having to go. So he would just call her to make sure, to confirm, to remind her, and she would ignore him. So he'd have to call, so she created the situation where he couldn't just trust that she'd go take care of the kid, because she wouldn't just go take care of the kid a lot of the time. And of course that was super toxic. Okay, so then at some point, she's still with him, and she talks about she meets George at a bar across the street, but then she tells this horrific lie, Amber Heard level lie about their first date, which was just totally off the wall, not even believable. Just like a violent story that didn't even make sense. And so the evidence that was shown at the trial, it showed an extremely abusive woman, verbally abusive, emotionally, mentally, physically abusive, financially abusive. She was in control of everything. So she got a large lump sum settlement from the divorce, plus $1,000 a month, plus $100 a month. So like $1,000 a month for alimony. I don't know exactly how the townhouse was like hers, if she had a mortgage, I don't know, but at some point George was on the lease, and then he was supposed to be working. Like, she basically just wanted a free ride from everyone. And she definitely has delusions of grandeur. And she has this sense of entitlement I will say honestly, just shocking. Cruel and unusual, like the way she killed George. Oh, I really was wanting to talk about how, like, I'm starting to fall asleep. At the end of it, she was like smiling, and in the middle of it, she was smiling. She's so weird. She's so creepy. She's so something super, super wrong. You know, like there was the cop that she was trying to hug. She's like, "Can I get a hug?" And he was like, "No." And she goes in to hug him anyway. And on the body cam, and you see him like, "No, ma'am," you know. And then she comes back at him and tries to pull him in. It's like, do you not know you're being recorded? Gross. He's a cop. What are you doing? Then she's like screaming, "I love you!" Another cop comes and he's like, "Come on, let's go talk. Let's go write this report." And she's like, "Whoa, I did it, I knew it. He never thought I would do it." Like, how? Oh my God! Like, how is this real? How is this actually real? The video of him reciting all the wonderful things about her, that she was feeding him, and then her chiming in with the, you know, and her especially about like they're not violent, and he's like, you know, and she's a wonderful woman or something, and she's like, an angel. I'm like, oh my God, an angel of evil. But then she couldn't stop smiling. You know, she also did this weird, like, constantly, and it's almost like you can see her actually, like, wistfully thinking of all the things that she maybe wishes she could have done. I bet you she wasn't wistfully thinking about how, oh, if only I hadn't killed him, none of this would have been happening. She was probably thinking about all the things she wished she could have done, should have done instead, you know, to get away with it. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else ends up dead around her. But, you know, hey, I thought that Casey Anthony was definitely going to be a danger to society, and so far, I think she's just gotten into minor little things. And, you know, OJ is dead now. He did become a danger to society. He did spend some time in jail for, well, I think he was trying to steal back his own shit or something. But anyway, Sarah Boone, oh God, watching those videos, it was so heartbreaking to see the man that she was claiming was this monster, this violent monster that she zipped into a suitcase and didn't let him out because she was so terrified of what he would do. And then you saw videos, and she would set him up. She would get a no contact order against him, and then hold his personal stuff, his license, his birth certificate, his ID that he needed desperately, and then try to use that as a ploy to get him. She would just outright say, "Well, if you come over, I'll give you your stuff." Then he wouldn't come over. Then she ripped it and took a picture of it and sent it to him and said, "Look at what you made me do." Then he would finally come over, and she would call the cops and scream and say that he beat her. I'm so glad that she's in jail, and it's going to be for life. I have little doubt, but we'll see. We'll find.
Get lovedreamingpeach.com.
It's so crazy. I couldn't get it all out in one video. So, somewhere along the line, I guess, I don't know if he started standing up for himself or if she just kicked him out. Whatever the case was, she was so unhinged. She was so abusive to him, as was evidenced in those videos that she took of herself abusing him, waking him up at 1:20 a.m. to berate him because he's sleeping on the floor / in the doorway, because she had previously berated him and told him not to come into the room, even though it was his room and his bed too.
And he's just like, I just wanted to be close to you. And he's like literally sleeping, woken up, and she starts berating him about the vodka that he drank. He drank all of it, and it was for a good time for 2 people. And she's obviously also drunk. And it's just like she's mad. It seems like she went to get the vodka and it was gone. And she's like, I'm going to wake this motherfucker up. I don't know. But then she was like coming from inside the room. So I don't know, but she won't stop. She won't stop. He's laying on the floor in a fetal position, trying to lean on the wall to kind of like sleep. He's like, what's going on? Then she's like screaming at him to go down the stairs. He starts to go down the stairs, and then she keeps screaming at him. And at some point he comes back up and he's like trying to take the phone. You can't tell what's happening. It doesn't seem like he's hitting her. It seems like he might be trying to grab the phone from her. Maybe she's hitting him. So the whole point is that, so she broke up with him. She kicked him out. She got him off the lease. Then he had a phone, but somewhere the phone, his phone is gone. Because she's talking about what? He doesn't have a phone. She's the only one with a phone. The password is hers. He doesn't know the password. The face recognition is hers, not his face. Okay, so it's like total control. So did he have a phone? She got rid of the phone? Because at some point she's talking about she has his phone. She has his password or something. She has his Facebook password. So she breaks up with him. Then she's incessantly trying, so she's calling his mom's phone. She's texting the mom's phone, which I guess he was using, but it seems like the mom might have been using it too. She's desperately trying to get George to come back. She's desperately wants him to come. She wants a hug. It's so creepy. Oh, did I say that thing about the cop? This other cop came in the house to take her statement, and she would not, after she was dancing around like, woohoo, woohoo, I did it. He never believed me. I did it. About calling the cops on him. Then she would not stop asking that cop. And he was like a much older gentleman. Come sit on the couch. Come sit on the couch. He's like, no, that's okay. I sit all day long. I'm just going to be right here. She was so creepy, so sleazy. Like, ew, what is she doing? And she asked him about 10 times, I'm not getting arrested. Am I? And at one point he was like, should you be getting arrested? Is there something you've done to get arrested for? And she's like, no. So then they're going through this like sick cycle where she gets a restraining order. She's calling his mom. She's calling the brothers. She's even emailing her ex-husband, who I think is paying for her phone. Is George with you? Then she's telling him how she's so happy without him. She's so happy without him. Then she's literally copy-pasting, stalking his Facebook messages and likes and reactions. And it's just like, this woman is sick. She's sending 80-page texts to him, to the mom's phone, then to her ex-husband's email, to Mo, George's brother. She's insanely jealous over him messaging other women, even though she's already kicked him out, taken him off the lease, called the cops on him. One of the videos, in the cop cam video, the cop came, she was outside, sitting outside saying, he beat my ass, couldn't answer a damn question about how, when, what exactly happened, getting mad at the cop. The cop is like, I'm just trying to help you, and you can't answer me. You're getting mad at me. I can't help you if you don't give me information. Then he goes inside. He puts, he knocks on the door. It takes forever. George finally comes out. He puts George in handcuffs. George doesn't even, not one split hair does he flinch. But he is like, when the cop says, she said you hit her, he was like, what? Then he's like, I just wanted my birth certificate, my social security. And then they read the text messages where you see that she's holding his stuff hostage. She's literally saying, it's mine. Just because your name is on it doesn't mean it's yours. I'm the one who paid for it. I'm the one who worked for it. Like, maybe she helped him get another copy. And so she's decided, because she wants him to come over to give her a hug, and he doesn't want to come over, she's going to hold his government ID and paperwork hostage to try to get him, to lure him over, which she finally does. And then the cop, she's like, I don't have it. And she's like, it's in the bushes. And a month before she killed him, she had said she would get rid of him and that she'd be better off. And I guess, they could have probably gone for first degree, but the bar is so high. 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt. Second degree murder, she can still get away for life. It's a minimum of 22 years. She's already served 4 years and 7 months. But so that's the thing. It's like she kept pushing. She kept doing this sick, twisted push-pull thing. They were both alcoholics. He was emaciated. He actually did seem to weigh about 100 pounds. Like 5'2", 100 pounds. He was a small man. But not a man small enough to be in a suitcase. And like absolutely nothing about her story made sense. That's why I really truly believe, it's my theory, but I truly believe that he was finally, even if he wasn't going to actually have the strength. They say it takes 7 times. It often takes 7 times for someone to leave their abuser. But I think that suitcase, it was his, because she said it was his, and then he pulled it out of the closet. He was probably sick and tired of her abuse, and like he was so browbeaten that the cops would come and he would instantaneously acquiesce and just, concede. He would just be like, it's my fault, whatever it is, that's my baby. Whatever she said, it's my fault. And I think he finally was leaving her, and she beat him with a bat. I always thought, even though they didn't prove it exactly with the DNA and the testing and all this forensics, it didn't make any sense to me that she would be hitting this suitcase and it would cause that much injury to him. And the prosecutor in his rebuttal closing argument said, it doesn't make any sense that she hit him with the bat while he was in the suitcase, and he demonstrated it. So I think the way she got him in the suitcase wasn't by any fucking game and laughing. It was stuff you in, zip you up, threw him down the stairs, and then videotaped him begging for his life while she cursed him out and berated him, and then she went upstairs and went to sleep and stayed upstairs till mid-afternoon the next day, according to her. Although I think she did go throw those bottles out, and she probably cleaned the whole house up and all that stuff and made up a bizarre story that nobody believed.
Yeah, we don't need you to lie to us more. We're just gonna see what you chose to record, and that's our case. So that, which is why I always say, keep an open mind till the end of the case. The state's like, we're just. Well, I guess we know why the state didn't really cross-examine her much. Y'all were asking me, Emily, why didn't the state cross-examine Sarah Boone more? And I was like, I don't know what the state's doing. This, The state's like, we're just gonna play the video. You want me to cross-examine you? Don't care. You want me to object to that more? Don't care. You want me to do this? Nope. We're just gonna roll the videos. That's it. We're just gonna roll the videos in our rebuttal. She's gonna bring in battered spouse. If that's what she wants to do, we're gonna push play. And that's our case. So that, which is why I always say, keep an open mind till the end of the case, because you never know what evidence is going to come in. I don't think anyone's seen any of these videos. I know a lot has been out in this case, but I don't think any of this has. So when the state's like, yeah, we don't need you to lie to us more, we're just gonna see what you chose to record. That's why, and we haven't even gotten to the text messages yet. So
next video starts 456. That's the only file that starts with
y'all. It's really hard to watch. I get it.
Modified metadata, 12/29/2019, 4:04 p.m.
And I'm not going to have no Hindenburg situation, no Titanic situation, okay? So it's going to be a good day. Yes, I'm messing my mustache right now. And later on, everything's going to go off. Truth, facts. Truth and facts. All of this is going to be missing later on. We'll take another video again later on when it happens. Love y'all whoever watches this video.
No, that's not approved.
That's not approved?
The FDA says it's approved.
So it's going to be a good day all day?
Yes, it is. Even when I
all day.
Shave all of this
all
off.
day.
Yes. Even when I shave all of this off.
All day.
It's going to be an amazing day.
It's what time right now?
Shaboing boing.
I would say 9:30. 7 o'clock maybe.
Shaboing boing. That's what we're doing later on. Shaboing boing. You can stop filming now.
Not good enough.
It's going to be a great day. Today's a great day to have a great day. Boom. Cut! Somebody come in with a. Can somebody come in with a. Can you not?
Next file is image_093.mov. Metadata date modified 1/3/2020, 2:48 p.m.
It's 6:13 and I asked him not to play music. Because I told him that I'm just going to go to shit.
Is this the music that makes her mad? Maybe? Did we get a glimpse of the fractious music?
img_0975.mov. Metadata shows date modified January 19th, 2020, 2:58 p.m.
Time.
Sirens. 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 Sirens.
The wee-woos, sir?
Sirens and sirens and sirens. And this cop car.
How about you get an umbrella and call me Camille underneath it?
Yeah, how about we forget about that? No, we won't.
I'll never be.
No. How about we keep going on? Okay, how about this? When beautiful Lucas is here, we don't listen to none of that. I don't want to hear sirens. It's just beep, 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 all that, whatever. I want to listen to that. It's every single day. Beeping and we hear enough of it. out here in reality.
Are you gonna be nice tonight?
Yes. Yes. I promise you. I used to choose.
Go for a walk.
By myself?
Yes.
No.
Go for a walk.
No, I'm just gonna chill out. If that's the case, I'll just chill out. So much, like, this.
Don't ever be a woman.
How can I be a woman?
Don't ever.
I can't. But I can, somewhat understand.
Don't ever.
I can somewhat understand. Somewhat understand. I can somewhat understand, yes, where you're coming from. But when you have a child and it's like right now, this is too much. But we had a blast with them. Amazing.
Then you got out of sorts and pushed me, and he stole my phone and called Greg.
Why is it that I got out of sorts?
You pushed me.
I pushed. I didn't push. How do I get out of sorts all of a sudden? I don't want to hear it.
You drink too much, and you're upset.
Drink too much.
Go get your fuck card shit.
What are you talking about?
Your retard paper.
Ma'am.
Don't hit women.
Have I hit you? No. So where are you going with this?
I'm turning this off.
Tell me whatever else you have off.
What is she talking about?
You can film me, take a picture, or whatever you want.
You can tell you're automatically
I'm not doing.
Do I forget about it? No, I don't.
I'm not doing anything to you.
No, I
Sarah.
never do.
I'm not doing anything to you, Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Sarita.
What?
I'm not doing anything to you.
Yet.
It's not yet. I will not.
Mr. J.
It is 5:28, and we have 3 minutes and 49 seconds of videos if the jury is capable of staying.
I got a hot thumbs up from the jury. You may proceed, sir.
Got a hot thumbs up. The jury's like, roll it, sir. Don't stop now. We've got 3 minutes left. Be done. The
Next
jury's
image,
like, I need to
movie
go
is
take a bath.
IMG_10.
The jury probably needs it is very, very heavy stuff. And the jury has to be sitting there going, what has happened today? So when he's like, we've got 3 minutes left, they're like, please let us be done.
011.move. Metadata shows date modified 2/2/2020, 11:42 p.m.
Wow. And the jury hot thumbs up. I think they were like, 3 minutes, go.
This is what happens when you're going upstairs to ask for my car keys, alright? Because it takes you all the time. Where are my car keys? Where are my car keys? Where are my car keys?
Where are you with that? What are you talking about?
No, they're not. You took them.
Sarah, I didn't take your car keys. Damn it.
Where are my car keys?
Where they at? All the time. What in the world are you talking about? They're in the. They're there with it.
No, they're not.
Sarah. They're at the.
No, they're not. You took them. And why don't you walk away with them?
Why would I take your freaking car keys?
So you're not gonna curse now?
What are you talking about?
You took my car keys.
I didn't take your car keys.
You did.
Movie starting with file name B51, long file name. Metadata shows 12/29/2019, 4:04 p.m. modified.
I'm gonna go to court and I'm gonna tell the judge, listen, my fiance has nothing to do with it. It's all my fault. We were both drinking and it got out of hand. It's an isolated situation. It has never happened before. I love my fiance. She's a good woman. Never been in trouble in her life. She has a 7-year-old son that she loves and cherishes.
A blind Boston Terrier.
She has 2 dogs. One is blind, one is deaf. She goes around and she's driving and sees an animal that's injured. She'll stop in the middle of the street, no matter what kind of traffic it is, just to make sure that that animal doesn't get injured any more than what it already has. We both love each other. We both live together. Yes, every relationship has their arguments, but we are not the type of people that you guys are portraying us to be.
She especially.
Especially her. So please, if you can,
dismiss
this case.
Close.
Drop it. She is not the type of person.
Good person.
She's a great person.
Angel.
I know she'd be an angel. She's close to it.
Best thing that has ever happened to you.
Yes, ma'am. And I love you to death. And I hate that we're going through this.
It's on it.
What?
And they did.
And they did. I love you, baby. God will prevail and it will take us out of this situation. Love you.
Wow.
That'll be it for today, Judge.
Wow.
That'll be it for today, Judge.
All right. Keep your lights back on.
Yep. That'll be it for today, Judge. That'll
Members
be
of
it.
the jury, it is 5:33 p.m. I thank you again for your time and your service in this matter. I'm going to give you another instruction before I discharge.
And I will leave this video there. And those videos that she took, that wasn't all of the videos that they played of her, but I specifically wanted to play those. There's more videos that they played, more gut-wrenching, more cringe, but mostly more abusive. Hold on, let me take this out of here because it's probably super loud. Well, that's going to be it for now. I don't know if I'll have the interest or the desire or the energy to go back and watch Brian Boone's testimony because, you know, I follow something and then once it gets to its conclusion, I tend to be kind of done with it. So, but I wanted to tie up the loose ends of the videos that I made yesterday and last night that I didn't complete, and but at the same time, Sarah Boone is she's a total narcissist. She's a dangerous narcissist, and I'm not at all surprised that she was found guilty of second-degree murder. It was an hour and a half, but they also ate dinner within that time. So it's likely that they went in there, they took a poll, guilty, 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 guilty. 6 of them. Guilty, second degree, 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 guilty, second degree. Oh, so we don't have anything to debate, to deliberate.
There's nothing to deliberate. All we need to do is fill out the form, check the X, marks the spot, bitch is guilty by a lot. But you know, at the end of the day, it's a tragedy because a young man was taken. And what I saw in those videos was, yes, he obviously was an alcoholic who was deep in the abuse of alcohol. I personally don't see any evidence in those videos that there was mutual abuse or that she was a victim of anything except for maybe him trying to protect himself when she would go too far, which seemed to be on the regular. Like he said in the cop car, she hits me all the time. And like he said in that video, one of the last videos that they played, the one before him making up all that crap that she was feeding him about how wonderful she was, he said, have I hit you? No. And then she said, yet. And he said, and I won't. She was antagonizing him. She was instigating. She was trying to provoke him. It seemed to me like she was trying to do anything she could think of to try to make him lash out at her so that she could then turn around and say, look, I have it on film that he hit me. But just like Amber Heard, although Amber Heard didn't take it to the murder, although she could have, the way she was throwing glass bottles and crap at him, it could have happened. Thank God it didn't. But when you're behaving in ways that are unhinged and dangerous, something bad will happen. And it's such a tragedy that this man, yeah, he had problems. Yeah, he obviously needed to get help, to get away from her. And it's just so sad that his children, his parents, his siblings, the people who love him, they have to suffer with this tragedy. Well, this video is getting super long, but I just wanted to say, I don't know if you watched any Amber Heard, Johnny Depp trial, but there were hours and hours of videos. Some was just like audio recordings. She put her phone somewhere, hoping to catch him in something, and the only thing she caught was herself. And like there was a video of Johnny banging the cabinets, and she was secretly recording him, trying to get footage to show that he was being abusive. But the story that came out after was that he had just found out that his like long-term manager of like 20 some years had stolen like $750 million or some shit from him, and he was so pissed. And she was secretly recording like, what's going on? And then he was like, nothing, or whatever. And he's like trying to get away from her, and she's secretly recording. And then he's like, oh, he notices, he's like, oh, you're recording? And he's like running away from her. And then she picks up the phone and you see her smirking. It was so awful. That was the vibes in those videos with George. Even the one where he's like trying to get the phone. I don't think I have that in this video, but she was the instigator trying to push him to violence so she could record him and then say she has evidence. But now that bitch is in jail forever. Well, I don't know if it's forever. We'll find out in December how long it's going to be. It's going to be a long time. Because this blue-eyed white devil, as she called herself, murdered their loved one. But luckily for us and for George, she recorded her abuse, and now everyone can see it. And I have a feeling that there was like 108 pages of text messages, which is just unbelievable. You know, I felt like all of that evidence, all of the videos,
2-hour police interviews, the body cams from the night of and the morning, the next day, the next afternoon, and the body cam footage of the times when she called the cops and all of that stuff. They probably didn't look at a single thing. They were probably like, I already saw it, and it was clear as day. Shining bright as the hell of Sarah's own making. And she will probably spend the rest of her life trying to convince anybody who'll listen to her how wronged she was and how somehow they just don't understand. They just didn't see how perfect and wonderful she was, and how the victim of her abuse, the man that she beat down. So I really believe, my theory really is that he was trying to leave her and he got his suitcase, and that's why the suitcase became his coffin. He wanted to leave her and she said, oh yeah? You're not leaving. You're leaving in a fucking body bag, bitch. The prosecutor said Sarah came to this relationship with a lot of baggage. And that was George's suitcase. That's what Sarah said. That was George's suitcase that he used to use when he used to go see his family in Philadelphia. So all the evidence of he used to have a phone, he used to be social, he used to have friends, he used to go visit people. Somehow his phone was gone. The phone that he had, there was that video where he was filming her too. I don't know if I showed that one. But then his phone was gone, and he only had her phone. His daughters and his ex-wife talked about how he was never violent, never, ever violent. They were married for like 15 years or something, she said. And the daughter said that he used to call them a lot more, but every single time that he would call, it would only be a few minutes until Sarah would be yelling something in the background, some kind of problem, mad that he was calling them. She was the kind of person who is jealous of anyone in your life and will isolate you and cut you off. And that is what she did to him. She isolated him financially, she isolated him socially, she isolated him physically, and at the end of his life, she isolated him, she restrained him, she locked him into a suitcase. She, I believe, was dead set against, like, there's no way I'm gonna let you leave now. I kicked you out, yeah, and I called the cops on you, yeah, and I called them again, yeah, and I called them another time, yeah, and I recorded myself abusing you, trying to find ways that I could make it look like you were abusing me. I antagonized you. I woke you up at 1:20 in the morning out of a deep sleep after I had told you not to get in the bed because I was probably antagonizing you more at that point. She had been arguing with him since 7:30 in the evening, waking him up from the pitch black, throwing on the bright, ugly light, berating him, waking him up by berating him, provoking him, trying to get him to attack her. And then he finally tries to get the phone, and then that's her proof that he attacked her. And we saw him standing on those narrow stairs that he most likely went down either with a bat, she hit him and knocked him down the stairs. Then maybe she threw the suitcase down after him and stuffed him in it. Did she stuff him in the suitcase before he went down? We'll never know. But the fact is, whatever she did to him, she beat him, she suffocated him, she killed him. And she thought she was gonna get away with it. She thought that she was just gonna blue-eyed white devil walk out of there. Wow. Well, thank God she's not. Now she can go terrorize another girlfriend. Joel from STS said that there was a girlfriend who was coming in and coming in and watching the trial, but then the last few days there was no girlfriend. So did she realize, oh, this bitch is never going to get out? Was she like, apparently they met in the jail. I don't even know if this is true, but Joel was at the court watching everything. So apparently the girlfriend and Sarah had met in jail. So maybe the girl was, getting out soon. And she was like, I'll wait for you because you'll be out too. Oops, nope, I guess not. Peace. Well, Sarah will find someone else to terrorize, and hopefully someone will do it to her. Okay.
With saying that he beat him in the suitcase murder trial for George Torres. Prosecutors say that he was murdered by his longtime girlfriend, Sarah Boone, who had him trapped inside of a suitcase, beat him, and left him to die. The defense is saying that Sarah Boone was acting in self-defense. Now, George Torres' family is speaking out this morning, saying that he's being unfairly depicted as an abuser and that it was Sarah Boone who was the real aggressor. Now, since early in this case, we've seen evidence of Boone's problems with Torres' family.
We're gonna know what we're here, what we're investigating, and that they're gonna think I killed him.
Why would they think that?
They always have said that. They've always have said that.
What have they
I told you it's because I'm the blue-eyed white dragon. That's what they call me. Because they don't want him with me. So he's basically just not really been around his family because he chooses me over them.
I want to welcome in our special guests now. We have George Torres' oldest daughter, Ana Victoria Torres, with us. We also have Dolores Ortiz with us, who is George Torres' first wife, and she also brought with her this morning her youngest daughter, Destiny. First of all, my heart goes out to all of you, and for all of us here at Court TV, we are so sorry for your loss. Thank you for coming on the show, and I know that you really want to clear the air. And Ana Victoria, I know you've wanted to kind of be the family spokesperson, so I want to start with you, please. The way that your dad has been depicted as being an abuser in this trial, I know that it has upset you and you felt it's very unfair. Tell us why.
We are the voices now, and the way the trial has gone and the way things have taken place, nobody has ever contacted us to hear our story or ask us questions in regards to our father, his character, or the relationship between him and Sarah Boone. Me and my siblings actually spoke to our father that night, and we have a lot of experiences with Ms. Boone that do not speak to what the media is stating she is, a victim or a gentle individual. I'm sure she's loved over there at jail due to the fact that Sarah Boone is very, very calculated. She by no means is a kind and sweet, soft-spoken woman. She is very calculated, very devious, very conniving. My father was sheltered and berated. He was kept from us. He was the real victim in this situation. Unfortunately, again, as stated, he is not here to tell his story, but we are here to give his side the best we can from the view that we were able to see things.
Sure. Ana Victoria, in one of the videos that we've all seen, Sarah Boone told police that George's family didn't like her and that they referred to her as the blue-eyed white dragon. Would you talk about where that nickname came from, and if it's true that you all didn't like her, and in particular, why?
I can definitely answer that. As far as the nickname is concerned, that was created all through Sarah's little brain. Other than that, she was definitely correct as far as us not liking her, and she should have stated that she didn't like us either, because that is very much correct as well. She like I stated, is very evil. And what she is acting out there on the stand and within that courtroom is baffling to me, because that is not the real Sarah Boone at all. But yeah, she was correct. We don't like her. We didn't like her. That will never change. Unfortunately, I do feel bad for her and I wish her the best. But what I do wish is that my father receives his justice and she gets the time that she deserves. And a slap on the wrist is not it. Other than that, as far as a relationship with Sarah, one that was a good one, there wasn't one. We tried, we definitely tried, but she did not.
With him, we've had one engagement, which was for my children's birthday party that they attended later in the evening. So I really have never had, like, I want to
Tell us about that.
not per se fight me, because we've only, I want to say that we've had one patient. It was made verbal over a, but it was basically verbal threats that she would give every time that George would call his children, any chance that he had, that he was able to call his children to speak, and I was present. It was a problem for George. She was very much jealous of me, for what reason I'm not aware of, but we never had physical, altercations.
Well, and that's a very good thing. Tell us, Dolores, during your marriage to George, was he ever violent with you or?
No, altercations.
Well, and that's a very good thing. Tell us, Dolores, during your marriage to George, was he ever violent with you or any of your kids?
He was never violent with my children. We would have normal husband and wife family spats here and there, but never to the point where police were ever involved, DHS was ever involved. We were never that type of family. I can't relate to Sarah and the abuse that she so-called claims that she's received from George, because I never received abuse like that. I want to say the only thing that I can say about George is that he was a ladies' man.
Gotcha. Okay. And so just to be very clear here, did anything physical ever take place in terms of physical violence that he inflicted on you?
No.
Okay. And thank you for that. I know these are so happy that he...
An amazing person. He was my best friend. Nobody's perfect, but my dad was very loving. Everybody loved him back. He didn't deserve what happened to him. I don't think anybody deserves to die like that. I was 15 when it happened. I ended up being very depressed and going through suicidal thoughts and things of that nature. Yeah.
The rear end and his head up, and he just kind of bends over.
Okay, so like this is the suitcase.
Right. Bag around the vessel from it all.
There, so that's why.
That's why it's out.
Yes.
Okay. You guys didn't recently travel somewhere or anything like that?
Still in there.
Yep. All like.
Is it normally stored down there? Did you guys travel recently?
No, he was going to start putting some of the what do you call it? Donations in there, so that's why.
That's why it's out.
Yes.
Okay. You guys didn't recently travel somewhere or anything like that?
After you zipped them up, did you move the bag around the vessel from it all, or you just zipped it up and walked away
I
laughing?
both were laughing about it, but I went upstairs and I fell asleep.
Okay. But what position was he in when you put him when he went in? Was he sitting on his rear end and his head up, and he just kind of bent over?
Okay, so like this is the suitcase. Like this was his head, and then he's right here, and his feet were down.
So he was laying on his side.
Yes.
Yes. You just closed the flap and zipped it around.
Yes.
Him. Okay.
I believe we were playing.
Understandably. Okay.
So he said that I needed to tell you guys about his family. Like, who do I talk to about that?
We're gonna do that once we walk through and see. Yeah, we're
not going anywhere. We're gonna be here for a while.
I'm just telling you, like,
yeah, this is gonna be a while.
I'm afraid for my life. I want you to know that. I am afraid for my life. His family have never liked me. I'm the blue-eyed white devil, is what they call me. So they've never liked me. They've never taken me in. They've never accepted me. I'll put it that way.
Have you called any of them?
We talked to his daughters yesterday.
No, I mean, like, about this. Does
No.
anyone know? Okay.
That's
so
why
no one's going to know until we will be making that notification. So
they're going to kill me.
Okay, well.
Do they live local?
Yes, they're down the road. They're going to kill me. His kids are going to kill me in Philadelphia. They're going to kill me. This was not intentional.
Okay.
And they're not going to understand that. They're not going to accept it.
We're going to do a thorough investigation, and we will definitely make sure that you don't feel scared when we leave here. Okay? When we leave.
9-year-old.
Well, he's at school and he's with your husband.
I know. Well,
ex-husband.
Your husband said that, or your ex-husband said he made arrangements for your 9-year-old to be picked up.
Oh, okay, his mom, probably. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we're going to go inside if that's okay.
Yes, please, but you guys just keep me posted.
Of course.
So I know what's going on.
Yes, ma'am.
And don't.
All you have to do is get their attention if you have a question or you need to talk to us. He's standing right there. She'll be right here.
Yeah. Okay, but will you guys tell me, like, so you're telling me, like, you won't call whoever it is without telling me, right?
No.
I mean, I have all their phone numbers.
We're not calling. We're not making phone calls. We're actually going to speak to them in person.
Yeah.
We
That'll
are.
be later
They're
on.
going to. Okay.
It'll
You'll
be
know
later.
prior to us making any
I'm
contact.
not going to be here.
Okay.
They're going to kill me.
Okay.
We'll address all of that, okay, before we leave. Okay?
This was.
Okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Just stay seated, okay, Sarah? I know you're panicking, okay? Just relax. We'll come and talk to you.
We will not know the answer to that.
You have, look around, you have all these deputies here, so while we're... The answer is that his family's going to want...
Ready for them at this point, because then we won't be calling them quite. We'll be going to...
But again, you'll know.
So, but, like, what do you just tell him? What do you tell his parents? Like, what's the reason?
He passed away.
We tell them what we know at that point.
Yeah.
We tell them the truth.
And that we're going to be waiting for the autopsy results, and I will be at the autopsy in the morning, and hopefully the doctor will be able to give me some of what they think and see.
Yeah. We'll give them their number. They can contact them and get it from them.
So yeah, they're gonna know what we're here, what we're investigating, and that
They're gonna think I killed him.
Why would they think that?
They always have said that. They've always have said that.
What have they
I
said?
told you it's because I'm the blue-eyed white dragon. That's what they call me. Because they don't want him with me. So he's basically just not really been around his family because he chooses me over them. Even after I have encouraged him numerous times to go over there and see his family. They've never accepted me, and they've always been really unforgiving, I'll say that, where they've never accepted me, and everybody in his family has tried to kick my ass, so especially his sister. He had to pull her off me one time.
Do you have somewhere safe that you can go tonight?
Both my parents are deceased, my grandparents are deceased, and my aunt and uncle are deceased. I got nobody. I have a brother that's in the Marines, and I've got another one that's in jail.
Unless the brother that's Marines, is he local?
No. Well, he in Altamont, but I think he's doing whatever Marine thing he's doing. But the only way...
Your phone's inside, correct?
Yes.
Does he have a phone?
No.
He doesn't have a phone.
He used my phone.
He uses your phone.
Yeah, we did it
share a
together.
phone.
So the only place I could go is over to Brian's house. So I don't think he'll have a problem with it.
Okay.
So,
well, like I said, we're not going to leave here. If you do not feel safe, we are not going to leave here with you not feeling safe, because then we're liable.
And then his ex-wife in Philadelphia.
Well, she's in Philadelphia, but yes.
There's going to be a funeral.
Right. That you're talking like days and weeks.
No,
I'm talking right here, right now.
I know.
So let me do my investigation. Let me go do this paperwork that I'm talking about, because we can go back and forth about what ifs like all day long.
I know, sorry.
I promise we're not going to leave here for you and you not feel safe, okay? I promise.
I know, sorry.
I promise we're not going to leave here for you and you not feel safe, okay? I promise. Please. Okay?
Is this... I don't even know what to tell you.
It's okay. Just take a seat, have some water, give us a few minutes, let us do our thing, and we'll be back to talk to you, I promise, okay?
Like you said, you need us again, just let them know.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She does.
She, like I
They're
said,
doing
she's gonna do well in jail. She'll
tonight.
thrive.
So that is what they are doing.
She's fine. She doesn't have to have a job.
She got her folder
I don't
back.
know. I don't know if
Okay,
you have
she
a
just
job
needed her
anymore.
fingerprints done. So here's your folder back, lady. Off to jail we go.
She does not seem
Not too broken
all
up.
that flustered. Truly. So
She's like,
Magdalena, is there one from this morning? And back to the seal of the great state of Florida. Great seal of the state of Florida. We're gonna have to take a poll of the best seals that we have seen, because
lovedreamingpeach.com.
I'm the blue-eyed white devil, Sarah Boone.
So, using this AI text to... Is that who Sarah wishes she was? So we could make a monster for Sarah. She wants to be notorious. She wants to be famous. She wants fans. Let's see. So creepy. Wow. That's incredibly creepy. You know who else is a blue-eyed white devil? Wendy Adelson. Let's see. Well,